Welcome back to our next set of notes. This is cellular respiration, the basics. We are just going to talk about the bare bones of cellular respiration, and then we'll have a second video about cellular respiration that's going to get into the advanced portion of it. That's going to cover a lot more in depth about what happens in cell resp, but this is just sort of like a brief overview, just like getting our feet wet, learning a little bit about cellular respiration. So, to begin with, what organisms do cellular respiration? All of them. Every single one of them. All organisms do cellular respiration. Because cellular respiration makes energy. And there is not an organism alive that does not need energy. So, plants do cellular respiration and they do photosynthesis. They do both. Animals do cellular respiration. That's like us. Fungi, mushrooms, right? They do cellular respiration. Bacteria does it. Everyone does it. Okay? It's super important that you understand this concept that they all do cellular respiration because they all need energy. So let's talk about the cellular respiration reaction. This slide maybe looks pretty familiar to you because we just did something very similar for photosynthesis. Again, you must memorize this equation. This is not an option. You have to memorize this equation. So for cellular respiration, our reactants, or the things that go into the reaction, are glucose, C6H12O6, and oxygen. We have 6 molecules of oxygen, okay? Those are the reactants, what goes into it. What comes out of it, the products, are carbon dioxide, water, and ATP energy. This is like, this is what we care about, right? We love the fact that cellular respiration makes energy. So, glucose, oxygen, reactants. Products are carbon dioxide, water, and ATP energy. Again, you are going to have to memorize this equation using the fancy chemical structure. I will not accept like writing out the word glucose or oxygen. You have to memorize it as C6H12O6 plus 6O2 yields, this arrow means yields, 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O plus ATP. You have to memorize the fancy chemical formula. Okay? There are 2 types of cellular respiration. There is anaerobic or aerobic. So anaerobic, the prefix an means without or no. So anaerobic means no oxygen, without oxygen involved. Aerobic means oxygen is used. So most of the time, like when we're talking about cellular respiration, we're going to be talking about aerobic cellular respiration because on the previous slide you saw that the formula has oxygen as one of the reactants. So of course we're using oxygen. But, and we'll get more into this next set of slides, but there are 2 types of cellular respiration that do not use oxygen, and we'll talk about them a little bit more next time, but we have without oxygen, it's called fermentation, and there's 2 types, and with oxygen is cellular respiration as we know, like as this is like what we're talking about right now is with oxygen cellular respiration. So let's compare photosynthesis and cellular respiration. I have brought this up in multiple lectures at this point, but you should have made this connection that the reactants of one process are the products of the other, right? In photosynthesis, we have CO2 and H2O as our reactants, and in cellular respiration, they are our products. In photosynthesis, we have glucose and oxygen as our products, and in cellular respiration, they are our reactants. So the reactants of one become the products of the other. This is a cycle. It's a cycle. They're opposites of each other, right? If CO2 goes into one, it comes out of the other. All right, they're opposites. They create a cycle. This is very important. This is a big idea of relating photosynthesis to cellular respiration. So let's just do a quick overview of the entire process. So starting with our sun, right? The sun brings light energy into the chloroplast. In addition to that, we have carbon dioxide and water going into the plant, which will go into the chloroplast. Once it's all in the chloroplast is able to go through photosynthesis, which makes oxygen and glucose. This oxygen and glucose then goes into a mitochondria, right? In plants, it will just go from this organelle to another. For humans, right, we eat plants. We eat things that have eaten plants. So we can get some of this from what we eat, right? The food that we take in is how we can get some of this stuff. From the mitochondria, we are releasing chemical energy in the form of ATP. And after cellular respiration, we are also releasing CO2 and water as a byproduct, or as something that comes out at the end of the reaction, and that goes back into the chloroplast to start this process all over again. This is a cycle. You need one to complete the other. You cannot do cellular respiration without getting the products from photosynthesis to begin with, okay? They're both important to each other, and they're both important for you to understand that it makes a cycle. All right, great job. I'll see you next time.